Here are your solutions to Chapter 4, Lesson 5, the letter problems. For letter A, they tell us that a certain car has a gas mileage of 22 miles per gallon. So that is given right off the bat. The gas mileage of a certain sport utility vehicle is represented by the function shown. So it's over here in the table. Compare their gas mileage. So their fuel economy. So we have 22 miles per gallon for the car, 22 mpg for the car. And for the SUV, we have to look at the table. So we are again looking at the change in y over the change in x, because we want to turn this into a rise over run slope. So if we start here at 0, we rise, looks like 20, but if we look at the actual point here, we can see that we rise 19, the change in y is 19, and the change in x, we run from here to here, going this direction, and if we read the scale, that's 1. So our slope is 19 over 1, and it's 19 miles per gallon. So we can put here, we have 19 mpg. They said compare the gas mileage, so we would simply put that the car does 22 miles per gallon, and the SUV does 19 miles per gallon. The car gets better fuel economy. All right, let's take a look at letter B. The number of new movies a store receives. So the number of new movies a store receives can be represented by the function movies equals 7w plus 2, where m is the number of movies and w represent the number of weeks. So 7 times the weeks plus 2 will give us the number of movies. The number of games the store receives is shown in the table. So this over here is games. And they ask us to compare the functions y-intercepts and rates of change. So let's go to the y-intercepts first. So for movies, let's make a table here. So for movies, the y-intercept, we're going to call that b, is positive 2. We're going to draw an arrow here so it doesn't look like we have a negative 2. b is 2. And now for games, we'll put that over here. So for games, we have a b. Okay, let's take a look at how we can figure that out. We can see right away that our changes here are always going to be plus 3, and our changes here are going to be plus 1. So again, we can use that trick that I taught you quite a while ago about moving backwards. If we subtract 3, we end up at 0 here, and if we go back 1, we also end up at 0. 1 minus 1 is 0, 3 minus 3 is 0. So now we can prove that this relationship does go through the origin. So we have a y-intercept for the games of 0. So our y-intercept for movies is 2, our y-intercept for games is 0. The next thing they ask us to do is compare rates of change. Well, the rate of change we're going to call slope. The slope for movies is right here. So it's 7, and we're going to put a unit on that. We're going to say 7 new movies per week. So that's 7 movies per week. And here we have 3 games per week. So we're going to say 3 games per week. So that satisfies letter B. We compared the y-intercepts and the rate of change. And then it says, how many new movies and games will the store have in week 6? Well, we can take a look at our equation here. We have m, we can do this up here, it'll show, equals 7 times w plus 2, and that's going to give us movies. So in week 6, we would put that value in here. So we would have 7 times 6 plus 2. 7 times 6 is 42, plus 2 would be 44. So we're going to have 44 new movies. Okay, so in this case, we're going to look for week 6. Now we could put in the values here. We could continue this table. We could figure out the value for 4, and then 5, and then 6. But if you really look at this, you can see that it's 1 times 3 gives 3, times 3 gives 6, times 3 gives 9. Using the 1, 2, and the 3. So we could just skip down here and say 6 times 3, we would have 18 movies. So in this case, we have 18 new games per week, and we had 44 new movies per week. lots more movies than games. Okay, now we will take a look at letters D and E. Financial literacy. Mandy and Sarah each have a membership to the gym. Mandy's membership is represented by the function, so I'm going to label this right here as Mandy and put a circle around that, where X represents the hours with a trainer and Y represents the cost. The cost of Sarah's membership is shown in the graph, so let's label this Sarah. And the first thing they ask us to do is compare the y-intercepts and the rates of change. Well, immediately we can say let's do it this way. We will do B, which is the y-intercept, and we will do M, which is going to be the rate of change. So for Sarah, let's do Mandy first actually. Mandy, we'll put it here, and for Sarah, we'll put it down here. So for our B, for Mandy, our y-intercept is 29. That's easy. We can just read it from the equation. Our y-intercept for Sarah, we can also just read, but we're going to read it from the graph. It is 39. Now our rate of change for Mandy is also very easy. We're going to read it right from the equation. Our rate of change is 3, and since it's rate of change, let's put a unit on that. And we're talking about dollars per hour. Represents hours with a trainer, and it represents the cost. So we're going to have $3 per hour for Mandy. And for Sarah, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do our change in Y over change in X. And our change in Y is right here. It went from, remember the second number in each of these coordinates is always Y. It went 51 minus 39. And it went from 0 to 4, so 4 minus 0. So 51 minus 39, well, we could say 50 minus 40 is 11, minus 1 more would be 12 over 4, and we can reduce 12 over 4 to 3. So again, we have the same rate of change, $3 per hour. So for Mandy, we have y-intercept 29 and $3 per hour. For Sarah, we have y-intercept of 39 and $3 per hour. So we're supposed to compare the y-intercepts and the rate of change. We did that. And then the next question is, what will be the total cost for Mandy and Sarah if they each have 4 hours with a trainer? If we look at Sandy with 4 hours with a trainer, that's $51. So we can look at Sarah immediately and say $51. And then for Mandy, we actually have to use the equation here. So we can take a look at this. We have 3x plus 29. And for x, we are using 4 hours, so we're going to put 4 in here. So it's 3 times 4 plus 29. And that's 3 times 4 is 12 plus 29. And we could have 29 plus 10 would be 39, plus 2 more is 41. So Mandy would pay, that's 41. Mandy would pay 41, whereas Sarah would pay 51. So let's put a Mandy here. So we see this as 41. Please do guided practice.